Welcome back to the deep dive. We're here again to take that complex stack of source material. You've got all the plot twists, the hidden motives, the legal stuff, and really boil it down for you.
That's right. And today we are diving headfirst into, well, a really explosive situation. It's this alleged frame job involving Willow Tate.
Yeah, the accusation is attempted murder. The victim, Drew Kane Quartermain. It's a huge deal.
Absolutely huge. And our mission today for you is to get a quick but really thorough handle on this. It's intricate. The sources we've got paint a picture of Michael Korenthos, often seen as the Quartermain family's sort of moral compass.
Right.
Well, they're suggesting he's the one who orchestrated this whole frame job against Willow.
So we're going to dig into that. The evidence he supposedly planted, why he'd even do it. The stakes are incredibly high here.
Exactly. We'll look at the motive, the alleged planting of evidence, and crucially, why our sources seem so utterly convinced that this entire plan is just doomed to fail. Spectacularly even.
Okay, let's unpack that setup because it's intense. The core conflict, according to the material we're looking at, isn't just about the shooting itself. It's really rooted in a custody battle, right? A really nasty one.
Absolutely. It's scorched earth territory, Michael's alleged motive. It's brutally simple, apparently. Get sole custody of their kids, Wiley and Amelia.
Wow. So framing Willow for attempted murder is the tool to achieve that.
That's what the sources are pointing to. If this frame job actually worked, it would basically cut Willow off from her children forever. He'd be using the justice system as a weapon to win custody.
That's dark. It's the ultimate escalation, isn't it? It's not just like filing motions in court.
No, not at all. This is allegedly engineering a scenario where she ends up in Pentonville, potentially for life, all stemming from a custody dispute. It's extreme.
And the way it started, the arrest itself seems designed for maximum impact. Willow gets arrested for shooting Rue. 2 bullets in the back, the reports say. And the sources highlight her reaction. It wasn't just shock at the accusation, it was devastation. Because her kids, Wiley and Amelia, saw it happen. They saw Dante cuff her and take her away.
And that detail is critical, according to the analysis. The sources suggest that wasn't accidental. Michael wanted the children to witness that.
Why? That seems incredibly cruel.
Well, think about it. It immediately paints Willow as this unstable, dangerous figure in their eyes. It perfectly serves Michael's narrative that he needs to protect them from her.
Ah, okay. So it's psychological warfare from the get-go, setting the stage before the legal battle even really begins.
Precisely. It weaponizes the children's perception of their own mother, making the frame job seem more plausible, maybe even necessary from Michael's twisted point of view.
Okay, let's zero in on that arrest scene then. Down at the PCPD, Willow's brought in, and her reaction. The sources really emphasize this.
They do. When Dante arrested her, the description used is stunned and horrified. And that phrasing is doing a lot of work here, narratively speaking.
Right, so.
Well, think about it. If she was guilty, you might expect, I don't know, maybe feigned innocence, defiance, calculated shock.
Yeah.
But stunned and horrified. It reads as genuine, utter disbelief and horror at the accusation itself.
So for the analysts looking at this, it's like an immediate confirmation.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
For them, it confirms she's not the shooter.
Yeah.
It's that raw, emotional reaction clashing completely with the legal reality Michael supposedly constructed. It's the first crack in the facade.
And then comes this light bulb moment you mentioned earlier, while she's in the interrogation room?
Yes. This is fascinating. The sources say it wasn't gradual suspicion. It was like a switch flipped, instant realization. She suddenly knew who was behind it.
And she thought.
The thought, apparently, was crystal clear. Yep, Michael set me up. Just like that.
Wow. Not even considering other possibilities.
Doesn't seem like it. And this isn't just, someone cornered and lashing out. The analysis gets backing from the actress, Caitlin McMullen. She apparently confirmed her character, Willow, isn't just thinking maybe Michael did it. No, she's described as being quite certain that Michael was either the shooter or, at the absolute minimum, the one who framed her. That level of certainty right away is significant.
And Michael's own behavior around the time of the arrest doesn't help him look innocent, does it?
Not at all. The sources point out he seemed so sure he wouldn't be arrested himself. Almost confident.
Which is weird if your ex-partner just got accused of shooting someone close to you.
Exactly. And then, when Willow was arrested, he apparently didn't seem too surprised. Again, that lack of shock, that sort of calm acceptance. It reads as incredibly damning to observers.
It's like he was expecting it.
Precisely. Like someone watching their plan unfold right on schedule, not like someone reacting to a shocking event. And the sources directly link this back to that phrase he keeps using.
The whatever it takes line.
Yeah. Whatever it takes to protect his kids. The sources are drawing a very clear, very cold line from that statement to this action. The implication is stark. Whatever it takes means framing Willow, because in his mind, he's protecting Wiley and Amelia from their own mother.
And this idea of protection gets even more twisted with this supervised visit thing he set up.
Oh, that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sources paint that as just deeply cynical. He offers Willow a chance to see the kids. It sounds okay on the surface, maybe.
But there's a catch.
A big one. He has to be supervised and with a shrink present.
Which immediately signals danger or instability.
Right, and the sources are emphatic. This wasn't about finding a way forward. It was purely tactical, a one-off visit.
Designed to do what? Make him look good.
Partly that, yes. Makes him look like the reasonable one, willing to allow some contact. But the alleged subtext is chilling.
Go on.
The sources claim he intended this visit specifically to be one last time for the kids to see their mom.
One last time before Pentonville.
Exactly. One last supervised, implicitly dangerous visit before she's arrested and, he hopes, locked away forever. It's setting them up emotionally.
So he establishes this baseline. Mom needs supervision. Mom might be unwell right before the arrest.
Right before the hammer drops, yeah. It maximizes the trauma for the kids, makes the arrest seem almost logical in context, and further justifies his protective actions in his own narrative. It's brutal.
Using the kids' love for her against everyone involved.
It really seems that way. Turning what should be a precious moment into a calculated farewell, all for his alleged legal endgame.
Okay, so the motive is custody. The method involves psychological manipulation. But then there's the physical evidence.
The gun.
The gun. Edward Quartermain's gun, specifically. That's the core of the physical frame job. It somehow ends up planted in Willow's bedroom.
But how did it get there? That's the key question, isn't it?
It is. And the how is less important initially than the when and where Michael had the opportunity. The sources are laser focused on one location. Elizabeth Weber's house.
Liz's house. Why there? Because Michael was there. Alone. Unsupervised. Right before that gun was supposedly found in Willow's room.
And Liz. She just let him wait there.
Yeah, why wouldn't she? From her perspective, Michael was just waiting for Willow. There was no reason to suspect anything sinister was about to happen. She left him alone.
Giving him the perfect window.
The perfect window. The unsupervised time needed to take that gun, which he presumably acquired earlier, we'll get to that, and plant it somewhere it would implicate Willow.
So even if they can't prove he shot Drew, this window makes him look guilty of planting the evidence.
Guilty of planting the attempted murder weapon, yes. It puts him squarely in the frame for evidence tampering, at the very least. He's the last known person with unsupervised access to the location where the crucial evidence related to Willow would later be found. It looks terrible.
And Willow realized this, or suspected it.
Oh, immediately. According to the sources, she didn't hesitate. She told Detective Harrison Chase point blank, "Michael set me up. He planted that gun."
So that becomes her primary defense strategy.
It has to be, initially. Outright denial. Plus pointing the finger directly at Michael and explaining how he could have done it.
And her lawyer, Martin Gray, he's going to run with this.
Expected to, yes. The prediction is she'll tell Martin that exact detail. Michael was alone in Liz's house right before the gun turned up. Martin's job then is to get Liz on the stand.
To confirm Michael was alone, and for how long?
Precisely. Establish that opportunity beyond doubt for the investigators and eventually maybe a jury. It chips away at the idea the gun was just found innocently.
Okay, so that's the opportunity to plant the gun. But what about getting the gun in the first place? Edward's gun wasn't just lying around, presumably.
No, it wasn't. And this is where the timing gets incredibly suspicious. It makes the whole thing look less like a crime of passion or sudden opportunity and more like, well, meticulous planning.
This involves Anna Devane, right? And a search warrant.
Yes, Anna Devane and a search warrant for the Quartermain mansion. This sequence is highlighted by the sources as just incredibly damning for Michael.
Walk us through it. What happened?
Okay, so Anna, doing legitimate police work, goes to the Q mansion. She has a warrant to search for the weapon potentially used in Drew's shooting.
Makes sense.
But the warrant gets rejected. She's sent away. Why? A typo. A simple bureaucratic error on the warrant.
A typo. Seriously?
Seriously. A typo delays the legal search for the murder weapon. And in that exact window of time, that gap created by the typo, What does Michael do?
Let me guess. He doesn't just sit around waiting for the corrected warrant.
Not according to the sources. They say he disappeared, vanished from the mansion right after Anna was turned away.
Creating the perfect opportunity.
To go get Edward's gun, the exact gun that later turns up, framing Willow. He allegedly uses that delay, caused by a random typo, to secure the frame-up weapon.
And then what? Anna comes back with the right warrant.
Exactly. Police return, warrant now correct. They search the place where Edward's gun should be, where it's known to be kept.
And it's gone.
Conveniently gone. It vanished during that precise window when Michael was also unaccounted for, right after the initial search was blocked.
Wow. That timing. You're right. It doesn't just look bad.
It looks really bad for Michael. It suggests he knew they were coming, knew what they were looking for, and exploited a procedural hiccup to get the weapon needed for his frame job.
A jury would have a hard time believing that sequence of events was just coincidence.
An incredibly hard time. The typo, Michael's disappearance, the gun's disappearance, and then its reappearance framing Willow. It points directly towards deliberate action by Michael.
Wow.
And then you layer Liz's testimony on top of that, confirming he had the later opportunity to plant the gun.
Yeah, the circumstantial case for him setting Willow up becomes pretty strong, even without direct proof he fired the shots.
Exactly. It's the kind of detailed sequence that deep dives like this are made for, really, unpacking those crucial moments. Okay, but to really understand why Michael would go this far, we have to look inside his head a bit, or at least what the sources suggest is going on in his head.
Great, because blaming someone for attempted murder, that's extreme. He must feel incredibly justified somehow.
That's the word the sources use. Justified. He apparently doesn't see this as just a desperate act or a crime. He sees it as vengeance. Payback that he feels Willow thoroughly deserves.
Vengeance for what? What could possibly justify this in his mind?
It seems to go way back. Back to the whole painful saga with Sasha Gilmore and baby Daisy.
Ah, okay. Refresh our memory on that because the details might be fuzzy for some listeners.
Right. So the sources claim Michael knows, or at least remembers vividly, things about Willow's actions back then that maybe others have forgotten or glossed over. Specifically, how she allegedly manipulated that situation.
How so?
The claim is that Willow actively worked to drive Sasha out of town, and apparently took a lot of pleasure in doing so.
And the goal of driving Sasha away was?
To stop Michael from seeing his daughter with Sasha. It was, according to this view, a deliberate, vindictive campaign by Willow to separate father and child. And she succeeded, at least for a time.
So Michael sees this current situation, framing Willow as cosmic balancing?
That seems to be the implication. He feels he's correcting a past wrong. She denied him access to his child through manipulation then, so he's denying her access to their children now through this framed job. He feels very justified, maybe even pretty smug about it, like he's finally getting even.
That adds a whole other layer. It's not just about winning custody now, it's about retribution for past hurts.
Exactly. It reframes it from pure desperation about Wiley and Amelia to something colder, more calculated. A long simmering resentment finally boiling over, masked with the language of protection.
Chilling. But, okay, even if he feels justified, you mentioned his plan has flaws. Big ones.
Huge ones. And this is where his potentially smug confidence might be his undoing. Regardless of his motive, the execution of the frame job itself seems fundamentally flawed, primarily due to evidence contamination.
Back to Liz Weber's house again.
Back to Liz's house. We know Liz can confirm Michael was alone there, giving him opportunity. That's bad for Michael. But here's the twist the sources highlight, described as very bizarre and ultimately devastating for the prosecution's potential case against Willow.
What is it?
Carly Corinthos Spencer, Michael's mother. She was also recently alone at Liz's house, unsupervised, before the gun was found.
Wait, Carly was there alone too, around the same time?
Not necessarily the exact same time, but recently enough and alone enough that she also had theoretical opportunity to access the same spaces Michael did.
Okay. So legally, what does that mean? Why is Carly being there such a problem?
It introduces the concept of taint, legal taint on the evidence. Think about it. If only Michael had been alone there, Willow's defense points to him. If only Willow had been there, the prosecution might have a case. But you have Michael and Carly.
Both fiercely protective of Michael.
Exactly. And both people who stand to gain. If Willow is out of the picture, Michael gets custody, Carly gets her son safe, and maybe easier access to her grandkids. Both had unsupervised access to the location before the evidence crucial to framing Willow was discovered.
So for someone listening who doesn't, deal with legal stuff, what does completely taints the chain of evidence mean practically, like in a courtroom?
Practically, it means the gun, as evidence found there, becomes almost useless for proving Willow's guilt. Willow's defense lawyer, Martin Gray, doesn't even need to prove who did plant the gun.
No.
No, he just needs to raise reasonable doubt. He points out that multiple people with motive and opportunity, Michael or Carly, were alone in that house. Either one could have planted it. Or maybe the police didn't secure the scene properly because multiple people had been through. Who knows?
It just muddies the water completely.
Exactly. It creates reasonable doubt so wide you could, as they say, drive a truck through it. The sources even mentioned Diane Miller, who's known for being a sharp lawyer in this world, apparently stated something like, "No jury on earth would believe Carly or Michael's story," about how that gun just innocently appeared there. The contamination is just too fundamental.
Wow. So Michael's supposedly clever plan overlooked a basic rule of evidence.
Seems that way. He might have focused on his opportunity, forgetting or ignoring Carly's presence, and how that legally neutralizes the location as clean evidence. A massive structural flaw.
And speaking of Michael's capacity for, well, extreme actions, we need to touch on his past, right? To understand why framing someone might even be conceivable for him.
Absolutely. To really grasp why he'd resort to something like this attempted murder or framing someone for it, you have to look at his history. It's not pristine.
Give us that context. What's in Michael's past that suggests he's capable of this level?
The big one, the one the sources always bring up in this context, is Claudia Zachara. Michael was sent to Pentonville because he bludgeoned his stepmother, Claudia Zachara, to death.
He killed her.
He did. Now, the context provided by the sources is important here. They usually note he was defending his mother, Carly, and his baby sister, Jocelyn, from Claudia, who was definitely portrayed as villainous, awful Claudia. Many felt she got what she deserved.
So there are mitigating circumstances, in a way, self-defense or defense of others.
Yes, but the act itself, taking a life, using lethal force, establishes a baseline. It shows a capacity for extreme violence, for crossing moral and legal lines when he feels his family is threatened or wronged.
So if he could kill Claudia, albeit under duress,
then the idea of framing Willow, who he also perceives as a threat to his family, his kids in his view, becomes psychologically plausible within his character arc. It's a different kind of violence, perhaps, but it stems from that same willingness to take extreme measures when feeling justified by the need to protect.
And that capacity for violence contrasts sharply with Willow.
Oh, completely. The sources are clear on this. Willow has a history, as we discussed, of maybe emotional manipulation, vindictiveness even back in the Sasha days,
Right.
but lethal force, extreme physical violence, absolutely not in her history. Michael has that history. Willow does not. It makes his potential involvement in either the shooting or the frame job seem much more credible based on past actions.
Okay, so Michael thinks he's pulled off this masterstroke, feels justified, but the whole thing is built on shaky ground, contaminated evidence, suspicious timing.
Exactly. He might be sitting there thinking, okay, Willow's arrested, Nina Reeves is arrested too on related stuff.
Yeah.
My problems are solved, kids are safe, far away from Willow.
But the consensus from our sources is that's not going to last.
Not even close. The unanimous prediction is that this sketchy move is going to blow up in Michael's face, and soon.
And it's not just one thing that will trip him up, is it? It's coming from multiple angles.
That's what makes the predicted unraveling so interesting. It's like a pincer movement.
Yeah.
He's getting squeezed by people working within the legal system and by people operating completely outside of it.
Let's start with the outside approach. This involves Drew and Nina and someone named Jacinda Bracken.
Yeah, prediction number one involves Jacinda Bracken. The sources describe her pretty bluntly as a hooker. And the key thing about Jacinda, she will apparently follow the money.
Okay. So how do Drew and Nina use her?
The prediction is they'll pay her. Simple as that. Pay her to tell the truth. Or, perhaps more accurately, pay her to tell a version of the truth that helps them and hurts Michael.
And given Drew's resources, Nina's resources, they can probably outbid anyone else.
Likely the highest bidders, yes. So Jacinda talks. And what truth or version of truth is she expected to reveal?
What is she know?
She's expected to torpedo Michael's alibi for the time of the shooting. Whatever story Michael cooked up to make himself look innocent, Jacinda's testimony will allegedly expose it as a lie.
Leaving Michael with
no alibi at all. Suddenly, he goes from concerned ex-partner to primary suspect with no verifiable whereabouts during the crime. That forces the police, Anna Devane, maybe even the DA, to look again at all that circumstantial stuff, the gun timing, Liz's house opportunity, but now without the safety net of an alibi. It makes him look much more like a potential shooter, not just a framer.
Okay, that's damaging. But then there's prediction 2. This one involves Drew himself.
And this one is, wow, It's a major escalation. Drew Kane, the victim of the shooting.
He's expected to do what?
He's expected to lie. Under oath, presumably, to lie through his teeth, as the sources put it.
Well, lie about what?
Lie and claim he saw Michael. That he saw Michael at his house, possibly with a gun, and that he knows Michael shot him.
Wait, hold on. The victim is going to commit perjury to potentially implicate someone who might actually be innocent of the shooting itself, even if guilty of the frame job. Doesn't that seem counterintuitive?
It does, on the surface. But think about the context within this story's world. Drew has his own complicated history with Michael. There was a previous betrayal, apparently, after which Drew had already decided he wanted to send Michael to prison, whether he's guilty or not.
So there's pre-existing animosity and a desire for revenge on Drew's part, too.
Exactly. Now, suddenly, it looks like Michael might actually be involved in some way, either the shooting or, at the very least, the cover-up and frame job. So Drew sees his chance, he gets Willow freed, and gets his revenge on Michael, all with one potentially false statement.
And legally, how would that play out? Drew's testimony, even if false, combined with the other issues.
It could be decisive, especially for getting Willow released quickly. Martin Gray, her lawyer, would have a field day. Your Honor, the evidence found at Liz's house is hopelessly contaminated. Multiple people had access. And now the victim himself is pointing the finger directly at Michael Corinthos.
It creates overwhelming reasonable doubt about Willow's guilt.
Completely. It flips the narrative instantly. Michael's whole plan relies on him being seen as the innocent, grieving party or the protective father. If the victim says, no, he did it, that illusion shatters. It likely gets Willow out, even if she doesn't have a rock-solid alibi herself.
Okay, so that's the pressure from the wrong side of the law, so to speak, paying witnesses, perjury. But you mentioned pressure from within the system, too.
Right, and that comes primarily from Detective Harrison Chase. He's positioned as Willow's key advocate inside the PCPD.
And he's not buying the official story.
Not likely. He's expected to be a passionate advocate for Willow. He knows her. He likely believes her innocence. And as a detective, he won't let Anna Devane or the DA, Justine Turner, just sweep those inconsistencies under the rug.
The red flags, as the sources call them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Especially that whole business with the search warrant, the typo, Michael's disappearance, the gun vanishing. Chase is going to keep pointing to that, demanding answers. He won't let them ignore how suspicious Michael looks.
And Chase has an advantage, doesn't he? A tactical one.
A huge one. He lives at the Quartermain Mansion with Michael.
Oh, right. So he's got eyes and ears inside.
Constantly. The speculation is he'll use that proximity. He'll start keeping a very, very close eye on Michael, looking for any slip-up, any dodgy behavior, any overheard conversation, anything that could help prove Willow was framed. He becomes like an undercover agent in his own home.
That puts immense pressure on Michael.
Immense. And there's a little side note in the sources just to mention that DA Justine Turner herself looks kind of dodgy in this matter.
Dodgy how? Like maybe protecting Michael?
It's not specified, but it implies Chase might face resistance not just from Michael, but potentially from the DA's office too, which makes his personal advocacy even more crucial. He might be the only one inside the system really fighting for the truth here.
Sounds like it's becoming personal for Chase too.
It probably is, masked as diligent police work. But it forces the system to confront the possibility of Michael's corruption. Now, just when you think all the players are on the board.
There's another twist.
The sources throw out one more possibility. The idea of a double deep frame job.
Okay, double deep. Explain that. How does that change what we've been talking about?
It flips the script dramatically. If it's a double deep frame job, it means Michael. He isn't the mastermind. He's a pawn.
A pawn. Framed himself.
Exactly. Someone else might have set Michael up in order to frame Willow. The example given is Jens Sidwell, a known figure in the Port Charles underworld. Sidwell frames Michael, making it look like Michael shot Drew and then framed Willow.
Whoa. Why would Sidwell do that?
Unclear motives for Sidwell specifically, but the effect is what matters. Michael is no longer the villain pulling the strings. He's just a useful idiot caught in a much bigger game. A criminal conspiracy playing out on a higher level.
So Michael thinks he's running his own nasty little custody scheme.
But he might have been manipulated from the start. Maybe Sidwell, or someone like him, was the actual shooter or orchestrated the shooting and set things up specifically so that Michael would look guilty and react by framing Willow, taking the heat off the real perpetrator.
And that evidence contamination at Liz's house
Becomes even more interesting. In a double deep scenario, maybe Carly and Michael both being there wasn't just a lucky break for Willow's defense. Maybe it was part of the plan by the real framer, Sidwell. ensure the evidence is tainted from the start, making Michael look guilty of the shooting and the frame job, creating maximum chaos and ensuring the real culprit walks away clean.
That's layers upon layers. The person we thought was the bad guy is actually just another victim in a way.
It's the ultimate potential twist, yeah.
Oh,
But here's the bottom line from the sources. Regardless of whether it's Michael acting alone or Michael as a pawn, his initial plan, the frame job against Willow, it fails.
it unravels no matter what.
No matter what, it's going to be exposed, it's going to blow up in his face, and soon. The combination of Chase working from the inside, the right side of the law, and Drew working from the outside, the wrong side of the law, ensures Willow gets cleared and Michael takes the fall for something, whether it's the shooting, the framing, or both. So let's wrap this up. What does this complex web mean for you, the listener, trying to follow along? We've seen Michael's scheme, apparently born from this deep need for vengeance tied to the Sasha situation.
Yeah, but it seems destined to fail fundamentally because of incompetence, really. Legal and structural incompetence.
Pretty much. We identified, what, 3 main reasons why the frame job just collapses.
Right. First, that evidence contamination. Carly and Michael being alone at Liz's house basically makes the gun useless as proof against Willow in court. Huge problem.
Huge. Second, the timing around the gun itself.
Hmm.
And to vein the typo, Michael disappearing and the gun vanishing from the Q mansion, it screams premeditated theft, intent to frame by Michael. Too suspicious to ignore.
And third, the counterattack. Willow's allies are not playing defense. They're on offense. You've got Drew ready to lie on the stand.
Potentially committing perjury to point the finger directly at Michael.
And you've got Chase, inside the Quartermain house and inside the PCPD, pushing the investigation towards Michael, watching his every move, refusing to let the red flags be ignored. That combined pressure seems overwhelming.
It really does. And underpinning all of this, we have to remember Michael's history, his capacity for extreme action when he feels his family is threatened, going all the way back to Claudia Zacra's death.
Which brings us to our final thought, something for you to chew on. When a character, like Michael, has already crossed that ultimate line taking a life, even if perceived as justified protection back then, they've fundamentally changed their own rules of engagement, haven't they? Proportionality is out the window.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the question becomes, how far will someone like that go when they feel righteous, when they feel justified in their actions? And even if they could somehow succeed in framing someone, does that victory achieved by crossing such profound lines ever actually lead to the peace or safety or happiness they thought they were fighting for? Or does it just guarantee more destruction down the line?
The fallout here, it feels like it's going to be massive, potentially shattering the whole Quartermain dynamic forever.
Agreed. A truly explosive situation indeed.
And that is all the time we have for this deep dive into why Michael Corinthos' frame job seems absolutely destined to unravel.
Until next time, keep digging deeper, stay informed, and always question the motive.